tide rolls in a cold breeze. Steel boots on the sand, no ease. Propellers hum the Soviet quest, but the island ain't weak, not less. She-hot tanks roaring loud and clear. Zombie hula girls, no fear. Tiki terrors rise, eyes ablaze. Soviets drown in the island haze. Island don't surf, island don't win. Tiki terrors won't let them in. She-hot tanks make the ground shake. Zombie hula girls, hearts won't break. Under moonlight chants they clash. Steel meets flame, bones will thrash. Cold War's heat, the island's grip. Tiki rage will never slip. Drums beat, wild waves take hold. Soviet shiver, hearts turn cold. In the depths of night they fail. Tiki terror's ancient tale. Island don't surf, island don't win. Tiki terrors won't let them in. She-hot tanks make the ground shake. Zombie hula girls, hearts won't break. Hearts won't break.
Howdy, howdy, it's your old pal, Tiki the Hut. Thanks for joining me again on another Too Late Tonight with Tiki. Ooh, feel like it's been a while. I think I was only gone for a little bit. I think maybe a week or two at most. But it feels like a really long time. I feel like a lot of things have happened. I know there's a new FAQ errata again, dropped for bolt action. I haven't fully caught up on it. I need to. I was watching Zern's video on it, which is actually a really good video. I just happened to fall asleep. Not an indictment on his video. It was actually a really good video. I was just super tired myself. All right. So, unfortunately, one of the other things that hasn't changed is the table. We're still left off with where we left off last stream. The only thing that's changed, I have gotten in my AK diorama terrain paint, my sand, and I actually really do like how the sand kind of came out. So I'll be able to finish and knock out all my IJN. But tonight what we'll be working on is more Daughters of the Motherland. So I haven't read it yet. Okay, so that's what I was saying, is there's basically just like, so 3rd edition had a problem where it was easier finding things, but everything was scattered around. Like, a good example was like flak. Like I know you remember from our air assault or our airborne night drop on Moto, we had to look flak up, but it's in like 8 different locations. So I saw they kind of streamlined that. What did they do to the poor Marines? I don't feel like the Americans were overpowered in any way, and now I'm kind of curious what they did to the Marines. So we'll be starting with some snakebite leather, getting the coats of all of them going. What? Okay, so if I'm reading this right, so the whole land, air, sea thing, you know, as far as the special rules was, you know, Americans come at you by land, air, sea, land. Land was like Rangers and their special rules. Air was airborne, their special rules. And sea was Marines and their special rules. So now I'm saying all the Marines, in order to get the special rules, have to be veterans? That's kind of weird. That's weird because, again, of all the factions, I felt like the Americans weren't really overpowered in any kind of way, you know? But, alright. So, this takes me back to the point I always say. I understand why they do these are radas or FAQs. Like, I definitely understand FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions, that's fine. But this constant behind the scenes tinkering is really annoying because, like I said, I'll literally build models and I'll have like a whole army kit like ready, and they go back and change some points values, or they go back and change some stuff. So now I have to completely, you know, go back. I don't know. It's kind of obnoxious. I mean, I may not have to. Doesn't really mess with airborne too much, but I just don't like the constant adjusting of things. I think like once a season is fine. Like once a year adjustment is perfectly fine, right? But this every couple months in between books. A lot of people are gonna say, you know, don't be a naysayer. You know, once they finish all the books, then it will be done. But I don't think it will. You know, I think they're constantly gonna be adjusting it. I think it just comes with the culture of constant online games and content drop. You know, I think everyone just expects, you know, buffs and nerfs and stuff like that to happen. It's like common culture now. So I think it's gonna be a tabletop wargaming. And I get that. Don't get me wrong, Bad Rabbit. I do get that, but that works for people who have lots of models. And to be fair, I have lots of Imperial Japanese models, right? So I can adjust those lists as needed. But a lot of times, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, sometimes I'll get models and I'll literally look at the kit and be like, hey, what can I build this kit? And I'll specifically get kits to build certain types of models. And I'll build a list. I'm like, cool, here's my list. Let me build the models, you know? I spend the money, I spend the time, I get everything done. And they go back like, hey, we've adjusted your points values. So now your list is messed up. So now you have to fix it. Which means I have to go back and maybe some of those models I got I can't use, or maybe I need more models. I don't know. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal. I just, like, once a year I think it's perfectly fine. But every couple months in between books, I don't know. It kind of just feels like, it feels kind of like modern games and battle passes, you know? When there's always something new, it's... Ooh, I got it. I think I can explain it without sounding like I'm a complaining boomer. When there's always something new dropping, it's not new. You know what I mean? That's business as usual. It's not exciting. If it was once a year, it'd be exciting. Like, oh boy, I can't wait to see what drops this year, you know? But no, when it's every couple of months in between books, you know, it seems like every couple of months we get a book or an FAQ, so... I'm hoping for Conflikt 47. I'm hoping it's a lot more relaxed. I'm about to say ooh. Yeah, no, and I get that. It's bad rabbit for me. It's a personal preference. I think it's why like I personally enjoy a lot more story-driven single-player games. Or actually, really good example because that's what I did when right after I got off work, right before I fell asleep. I played a little Helldivers 2, and I was. Here's why I think Helldivers 2 is doing so well. It's related, I promise. And I can tell you why I like Helldivers 2. First off, I'm not very good at it. Spoiler alert. Number 2, I really enjoy playing it. But what I like about Helldivers 2 is there's an ongoing war, which is fine. That's cool. It's cool to be a part of that. Like, it's a good kind of FOMO. Like, oh, I want to be at that battle, But it's not like, hey, you're not really missing out on anything. All the war bonds that come, they don't delete after a little while. You'll always have access to them. You can always come around and get them. All the orders that you accomplished, you'll get your points for that and stuff like that. And what I like is the game stays right where it is, so you can play it and you can not play it for a couple days and come right back and it's right where you left it, or 2 months or 3 months. I'm not saying everything needs to be static, but I'm saying that's the benefit sometimes of a good single player game. You can just pick up your saved file from where you left off. I'm not saying every tabletop war game needs to be like that. Obviously they have to evolve and they tell stories, and that's fine. Balancing, that's fine. But good games always kind of have that ability to it, We are absolutely talking about bolt action. No, we were. I was just equating it to Helldivers 2 and why that works is because yes, there are changes, and yes, there are buffs and nerfs to your weapons, but they always still act. Oh, in the beginning they didn't. That's why a lot of people left. But now, even when they buff or nerf something, they still keep it consistent onto what it was. Like I said, I don't mind the FAQ. I think the FAQs are a great idea. Truly, I do. But I think the constant adjusting of points value and strength of certain things, I think that's the thing that I think should happen once a year. And that should only happen once all the books are out. But I don't really play enough to have that much of an opinion. I wish I could play more, but I wanted to get a game in with Swark while he was down here, but I don't think I'm going to. I have been insanely busy. For instance, I missed last week's stream, unfortunately. Some current events flared up, and I had to work overtime. All right, we were getting the brown coats going. For those who didn't see, we did finish our full painted model. I mean, I didn't fully base, but these are what our Daughters of the Motherland for South America are going to look like. As you can tell, we went with the Arnold Schwarzenegger commando style camo paint on the skin and face. Yeah, no, you got that right, Bad Rabbit. Yes, similar thing. Yeah, I don't mind stuff like that, but you could tell like when they kind of change stuff. But again, I definitely don't start the stream off all doom and gloom. It's just it'll always be my opinion. I don't know. It's just one of the things. I think it's a tough thing when you sell physical books and you do a lot of constant online changes and tinkering. I feel like those two things are what lead to people feeling certain ways, you know. But it works. People are still buying. People are still playing, which is great. I'm hoping to get a few more games of Konflikt 47 in before the new edition drops. Hey, what's going on, CB Cooper? I don't know if you noticed, but I've been working on my Konflikt 47 Soviets. Let me turn back down the brightness. This is the test or the final proof version of South American Daughters of the Motherland. Until they got camo paint on their arms and stuff. Alright. So now I'm going to batch paint the rest of them. And then once I finish them, we'll get to working on the terrors. And just for those of you who are curious, let me know. Don't worry, it won't be on stream, it won't take away time, but this is my palette cleanse. I've been working on Blood and Plunder and Port Royal. I actually took a trip to, a real quick trip to St. Augustine to visit the Castillo de San Marcos, and because I wanted to know how to paint colonial Spanish. And there were some books, but there wasn't a lot of good information on it, you know? So I decided to actually go to the National Monument and get actual certifiable information. And they were extremely healthy. I ran into a couple park rangers who were reenactors, and they set me straight, which was awesome. Yeah, I sure am, Bad Rabbit. Shoot it to me in, is my Discord open? Yeah, just pop it to me on Discord. I'll take a look at it. I'm excited because showing Mrs. Tiki the table of the Castillo de San Marcos, which is, sorry I keep saying that, it's a star fort built in St. Augustine. I'm a huge nerd, history nerd, I could go on and on about it, but seeing the awesome table that Warfire Games made of it made us want to go see it in person. It was just as cool in person, if not cooler. And now Mrs. Tiki's totally on board. So we'll be building her French pirates, which would be pretty cool. Yeah, I felt like I was trying too hard to bring Pirates of Sartosa, you know, or Vampire Coast into Old World, when I was like, why do that when there's already a 28mm themed, you know, Age of Sail and pirate game, skirmish game. And then once I found out about Port Royal, I was sold. Basically a Caribbean themed Mordheim. I was like, yeah. Also, there's talk of a second edition of Fallout Wasteland Warfare coming, but I like that Modifius has changed over to plastic models. They just drastically change, not in a bad way either. They just drastically change their game types, so I'm really worried what the rules are going to look like. I'll probably pick up a starter set, but I'll take a look at it here in a minute, Bad Road. Let me finish the coat on this girl and I'll take a look. Meryl's Marauders. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what kind of list you made. And RK, I haven't forgotten. Once I get a free minute, I'm gonna pop those Schwinn wagons in the mail to you, buddy. I haven't sent them off yet. I'll let you know when I send them off to you. That way you know when to expect them. And I'll try and get a good estimate from the post office. So all we're doing is we have one finished model done, as you haven't seen. Definitely not how they're supposed to look in the box art. We're going to do our own South American, Central American take on them. So usually once I get one master copy painted, then I actually pop over and start doing the batch painting. So that's what we're doing right now. We have one done, so now we're going to batch paint all of them. We're starting with the trench coats, and we're doing the trench coats. One of my favorite paints, Snakebite Leather. It's a contrast paint, you know, kind of like a speed paint. This one's a lot of fun for GW because you can really play around with it a lot, depending on how dark or stressed or distressed, sorry, you want the leather, is how many coats you can do. Also, the direction which you paint, you can actually paint creases in the leather. So it's actually a lot of fun, even if you don't like Citadel paints. The two Citadel paints I will always recommend are their Chaos Black Spray Primer. Nothing goes on flatter in my opinion, just my opinion. And this Snakebite Leather. Absolutely love it. Hey, Matthew, what's going on, buddy? I was actually just talking to someone the other day about you and your father's awesome British Grenadier style Konflikt 47 models. Especially offers, those were really cool. All right, once we get our coats done, we actually already have a list from Bad Rabbit to take a look at, which I'm pretty excited about. Yeah, if you have a unit want me to review, RK, let me know. And we also, about midway through the stream, we're gonna talk about one of the Japanese tanks from World War II. We're gonna talk about the Type 89 Ego or Igo. Oh, nice, Stevie Cooper. That's awesome to see you got some gaming in with your Gene Stealer Colt. I'm assuming I think we talked in this edition they don't get their they still get like their firefight rules where like one unit can set up another unit and it's like more weak to fire. They have like little blips and they can hide behind. I think we talked about this. I think that was 9th edition. Hey, what's going on, Ranger Will? We're just starting to batch paint the Daughters of the Motherland in their South American brown coat uniform. No, I never apologize for being at the gym, Matthew. No, you're right where you're supposed to be. All right, so let me take a look at what I got here. All right, take a look at Bad Rabbit's Maryland Marauders list. It is 504 points, but with the new FAQ, it should be right on 500, which I do appreciate. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so starting off, in the first platoon, we do have a veteran platoon commander. He's giving him the Stormwind rules of Marine veteran. I can see why you take Maryland for Ronald. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Alright, infantry. First squad is veteran. It looks like 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 6 personnel, NCO with a rifle, infantry with a rifle, 3 infantry with a rifle, 1 infantry with some machine gun, and 1 infantry with a BAR. They're Marauders. They have stubborn, tough fighter, field craft, and long range penetration. Looks like that squad's repeated. Ooh, this is cool. Okay, a Marine Corps War Dog team, and yeah, they did use dogs in the Pacific, Army and Marines. So 2 dog handlers with a rifle. Tough fighter, stubborn, spotting, and extra selection. Okay. All right, moving on down to the transport. Nice. 1 water buffalo and LVT-4. And he did pick the heavy machine guns for it. So he looks like he has, 2 pintle mounted heavy machine guns. So they have a 360-degree firing arc. Nice. Heavy machine guns, those are going to do some damage, man. All right, his second platoon looks like an artillery platoon. He has a officer, Marine, not veteran. Interesting. He has a rifle. He's taking his inexperienced. And he's taking a 37mm medium anti-aircraft gun. Huh. Okay. I can't even think what that looks like. A 37mm medium anti-aircraft gun that the Marines had. It's not a 40, so it's not a Bofors. Huh. I'll have to look at what that actually looks like. I can actually picture that. Sounds cool. And it's taken as a veteran. Yeah, that'll be a fun little list. I think the dogs make it really interesting. Nice, Bad Rabbit. Hey Ranger. So the question on how does Konflikt 47 compare to Warhammer 40k gameplay wise? So Konflikt 47 is kind of like the Weird War DLC, if you will, for bolt action. So what I mean by that is it's on the bones of bolt action. The current Konflikt 47 is based upon version 1 and 2 of bolt action, kind of bolted together. And the way that works is you build your armies. I'll put a website that you can go to take a look at so you can build your armies for free. So you build your armies and they all have a points cost. Everything has points cost. You know, units, veterancy. You can have your veterancy of the units that can be taken as inexperienced, regular, veteran. Also weapons. Some units or squads will have certain weapons available to them and you can upgrade them for a points cost. So you pick up points limits. For the event we're doing here, Clash of the Caribbean, it's going to be a 500 point limit. And then each unit has an order die attached to it. And some games will have like, hey, 500 points, don't exceed 12 order dice. So what happens is when you meet up for your game, both of you take your order dice and you put them in either a coffee cup, some kind of blind container. A lot of us they make special bags that have like all different nations, or a lot of us use like Crown Royal bags. Doesn't matter what you use, right? You just can't look into it. And what happens is when you play the game, somebody will reach into the bag without looking or feeling it, pull a die out very quickly. And whoever color die that is, they get to move a model. So instead of an I go, you go, where we kind of like flip forward and I move my whole army, then you move your whole army. Instead, you kind of don't really know what the next dice is going to be. And you move one model at a time and you take turns. So it's very exciting. Some of the other big changes as far as Konflikt 47 versus Warhammer 40k. There is sci-fi high-tech stuff. So you have Tesla guns and werewolves and werebears and zombies and all that kind of fun stuff. There is close combat and there is definitely shooting. But some of the big things is there is no pre-measuring, and you have to kind of declare your intent on your order, before you measure to move or measure to shoot, and that kind of leads to a very fast-paced, fun game. Sorry, I was catching up on the chat. Reading what Bad Rabbit said, cool thing I thought about tonight was the War Dog's ability to count off the whole of the LVT, which is a big old diameter. I'm digging the list, and I'm stoked to be playing the US bonus for Tropic. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially the Tropic thing. I think it's going to work real well. Yeah, that Buffalo is going to come in handy, particularly on the jungle runes. Matter of fact, I got one of the centerpieces in for that table. I'll bring it in so you guys can see it. It's kind of cool. I'm working on painting it right now. Squigger Sean, I knew what you were talking about. I've never been to that part of the world. Don't check my passport. But yeah, Konflikt 47 plays. The other big difference as far as Konflikt 47 and bolt action versus Warhammer 40k, one thing I always advocate for, the terrain. Usually your terrain is very realistic, like a village would look like what a village would look like, a town looks like a town, a beach landing looks like a beach landing. And the terrain has easy to remember but very important rules. And so you fight using your terrain. It's not just like, hey, these are my models, these are my special rules, my goals to try and do this, and then I'll draw like secret objectives. No, with this, you know what your mission is up ahead of time, and you know what your forces are, but you're going to use your surroundings, you're going to use your terrain to occupy that key terrain, cover avenues of approach. All the stuff you would learn in conventional military stuff actually applies to bolt action in Konflikt 47, so it's a lot of fun. It's funny to say this, Ranger Will, but you're in a perfect time to not start Konflikt 47. So we should be getting in July. It should new Konflikt 47 model should go up for pre-ordering for the second edition of Konflikt 47 coming out. They'll be doing starter sets. They'll be doing like a 2 army starter set, US versus Germany. It'll come with everything you need, and they'll also be releasing a much lower priced and more entry-level starter set as well that kind of teach you to play step by step. They'll be releasing that a little while after that, so somewhere I think around October you should start seeing Konflikt 47 second edition starter sets coming. One of the problems with Konflikt 47 currently is a lot of the models are in metal. So the World War II normal humans are in plastic, like, here you go. Like this, I'm working on this guy as a Imperial Japanese naval officer, snuff officer. But some of the more specialty models, like, here you go. You have these quasi genetically modified humans, daughters of the motherland. These Siberian terror squads. A Ursus infantry, kind of like a werebear. And then even over here, hiding behind the shadow, you have a Coyote light walker. A lot of these are all mix of resin and metal. So soon they'll be coming out in plastic, which will be really nice. But no, I think that tropical squad will work real well for you. I think the Buffalo is gonna help. That's actually a lot of firepower up in the front with the heavy machine guns. That's the only thing I'd worry about is you don't have any like dedicated anti-tank. But then again, no one's can't bring anything heavier than 7-up armor, so I think it should be all right. Bad Rabbit. So yeah, that's again. I'll have to look up what that 30. I can honestly say I've never heard of a 37mm medium anti-aircraft gun. I'm excited to see what it looks like. I just can't, for whatever reason. Maybe I'm just damaged. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. Like I said, I know what a 40mm like a Bofors looks like, and I know, Navy uses a lot of 40mm. I just off my head I can't imagine what a 37mm. And I know a 20mm like a 2cm. that the axe is used a lot. For some reason, I cannot imagine what a 37mm looks like. But you're saying it's a heavy autocannon? Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll punch enough holes for you. "72-inch range." Sweet Jesus. That is a far range. No, I was say I'm not doubting it. I can see it in easy. I mean, I see the rules for it. I'm not doubting it at all, better. I'm just trying to say mentally, I can't imagine what it looks like. But yeah, I have just about all the terrain I need assembled and ready. I just have to paint a couple more pieces, and then I just need to, I think, get a couple more battle mats, and then all the tables will be ready for Clash of the Caribbean. Again, we're gonna have a jungle ruins. We're gonna have a small airfield, and we're gonna have a beach landing. Yeah, Arcade nailed it. And then once we finish that, then we'll get started on all our winter stuff for our the second event we'll do, which again, that'll likely be, I think, in April. That one's very loose up in the air. I gotta sit down and talk to Warpfire, but that'll probably be our big Once Upon a December. Big, huge snowboards, Konflikt 47, armor heavy matches, lots of walkers, lots of tanks. Oh, it's gonna be great. Hey Ranger Wilt. So, don't listen to the chat, they lie. No, I'm kidding. I try and stream consistently. Unfortunately, I have a government job and I'm on call quite a bit. It's quick and Sean constantly tries to guess what I do, and it's funny. Anyways, so I try and stream for me in Eastern time, right? So this is EST. So for me, it's Saturday and Sunday. 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern. So it's a really weird time because some people it feels like I stream on Fridays and Saturdays, but technically it's Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, if you use Eastern time, I stream Saturday and Sunday 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern. So for some people around the world, like every now and then we have Commander comes and joins from across the world. It kind of fits in different time zones there. It's a very weird hour. I've always kind of said I'm kind of like trying to mimic or invoke those old Toonami midnight run / Adult Swim style hours, you know, and try and be a real actual late late night show. You know, there's no censoring here. There's no talking of like politics or anything divisive like that, but there's also no censoring. We kind of just talk about anything, you know, war related, tabletop related, and we kind of swap stories, have a lot of fun. It's just super laid back. Gives me a chance to work on my models that I desperately need to, and that's what a lot of people in the stream do as well. Hold on. To be fair, Quick Hunter Sean, every military offensive in the last 5 years has used drones, so you're not being very specific. Hey, what's going on, Steven? Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. Ranger Will is for like those times when you're like swapping shifts and you have to be up late at night and you need to like watch something, kind of stay awake, or same thing if you're just not able to sleep, you got something big the next day, or like for whatever reason, you know, that's the kind of time slot, that's the kind of audience and time slot I look to aim for. I spent a lot of my career working, you know, the midnight shift, you know, working nights, so kind of partial to that myself. Well, I hope you have a great day at work, Steven. Come on, Quick Hunter Sean, you know the rules. Admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations. The hallmark of any good relationship, you know? But right now, I have a couple people in the chat are going to the Clash of the Caribbean, so it's a 500-point bolt action event on a cruise ship. So they're bringing tropical armies, which is awesome. And then probably in April, we'll be doing a Konflikt 47 event, and we'll be doing a second Russian Civil War. And it's going to be very targeted towards larger army lists and targeting probably special rules to bring more armored platoons. So right now I'm working on getting all their leather coats in, at least 2 shades. On some places I'll be doing 3, kind of in a deep diagonal to show a little bit more wear and tear. Now, RK, when you sent me that jigsaw panzer, where you want me to, was that the model you wanted me to review? Your custom tank? I think I just made that connection right now. Yeah, I'm with you, Steven. That's why I kind of like working night shifts or weekends. It's not like easier or always more cake than other shifts. You know, sometimes it seems like you get the really crazy stuff, but there's also less management. So I'll take crazy events happening over micromanagement any day. It's okay, RK. Who doesn't have a pile of human body parts next to it that we dig through constantly to look for pieces? I've been there. Well, Steven, you're not wrong. CB Cooper, you are also very correct. Yeah. So luckily, right now, my job, everything we do is monitored. You know, a lot of times it's in the news. There's record of it. We do emails, and so what's fun is every now and then some people will be like, "Oh, you have that weekend shift. Oh, that seems super cake. You know, that's got to be nice." But every now and then they'll log in early during the week when I'm off, and they'll see all the emails they missed out on. They're like, "Ooh, that sounds like that sounds like a hectic or a busy event." And they're like, "Ah, you know what? Never mind." So every now and then those crazy events kind of scare away people from trying to come over to the night shift or the weekend shift. He's like, "I was looking for an arm for your miniatures, right? Right? Igor, fetch me another limb." Yeah, so in some of the places I've worked at, CB Cooper, the key to a night shift is you don't give 110%. You know, it's like, "Oh, I'll give 100% or give 110%. No, you got to learn how to flip the switch. Usually it's when it's chill, you take advantage of the chillness. You don't be lazy, but you don't go looking for extra work because it'll find you. And then when something kicks off, because it will kick off, you flip the switch and you give it the 100%. And then as soon as it's done, you flip the switch back off and you go back into like cruise control, 70 miles or 70%. Because that keeps you from getting burned out. Because we'll have some day shift people who want to be heroes that come into night shift. They'll do it once or twice and they'll get burned out, and they run back to day shift. Yeah, the other thing is like, no one gets to know you because you're not available for all the team building activities during the day. You're like, yeah, absolutely not. Feels like I'm... Okay, nice. Nice, Steven, nice. Never worked in a full kitchen. Did some cooking on a ship, like to help out the chief steward, you know, but I've never actually, that was basically, it's like Waffle House light, basically. I've never done a full kitchen. Can't imagine the work that goes into it, but I've heard sometimes that people you work with can be interesting and sometimes some of the best. Yeah, my pot of snakebite leather is not wanting to cooperate today. Can't believe you keep recommending me to keep using these Citadel paints, Sean. I figured someone of your painting talent would give me better recommendations of better paint to use, but you keep telling me to stick to these Citadels. Shame. Yeah, how surprised were you when I busted this guy out, Sean, and actually used this? Something other than Citadel. And got shot with the steel chair. Oh, man. Oh, I miss these streams. It's only gone for like a week or 2 weeks. Definitely miss the streams. No, I don't think the internet is that good. I may do shorts. I'll probably do some shorts during Clash of the Caribbean, but I don't think I can stream during it. I do have the package that comes with the internet for the ship, but I don't think it's good enough for me to stream. Although I don't know how intensive my streams are. Let me take a look. I know Morning Glory's stream is like ridiculously huge. Okay, mine says it uses about 750 megabytes, I think. My stream does. Obviously, it's a lot smaller, to be fair. But, I think, Arca, I think I will do, like, shorts to, like, introduce each round, you know? Or each game, at least. Introduce the armies and, each map kind of thing. Hey, Francis, what's going on? Those you don't know, Francis 60 actually has his own channel, and he actually posted a video today. He's going over his bolt action, his U.S. Army list. They look really good, man. I like them. Yeah, I'm painting super slow, man. Just, it has been a hectic couple of weeks, and it ain't over yet, so. Totally understand if you Cooper. Thanks for swinging by, man. I'm glad you got a kick out of me working on some Konflikt 47 Soviet models. Yeah, these are what they'll look like when they finally come out. I say green pants, red armor, and then it'll say brown coat, camo paint on the face, and arms that's exposed. Nothing fancy. Very simple. I am hoping once current events kind of die down a little bit and I get some more of my days off back, I'm hoping to get some videos done. Doing a little bit of recording, a little bit of editing here and there when I get a shot. A lot of it's downloading videos and finding good footage, especially for the lore videos. You know, appropriate and useful War II documentary footage. I mean, honestly, I've done like some solo practice myself. You really don't even have to do the whole AI thing because of the dice pool mechanic. Conflict 47 or bolt action, they can be played by one person playing two sides. Just try your hardest with both sides. No, so we're gonna try. I'll have to check that out. I have like 4 or 5 videos queued on my phone to watch until I fall asleep too. I'll add that to my queue. That sounds awesome. I think it's gonna be hugely popular. Revolutionary, epic scale. That's gonna be huge. So we're hoping to get all the trench coats in. Then we'll hit the pants green. And then I think we'll do the red armor. And that might take us to about the end of the stream today, I'm thinking. We shall see. I'm not very good at judging time. Damn, Square Gonna Shine coming in with the Citadel hate. A little heavier than usual. Man. to be fair, I use the brand of paint that matches my talent, so. Sean, when you're as untalented as me, you can use whatever paint brand you like. Yeah, no kidding. Yes, I can't say, with the exception of today, with the exception of, let me grab another one. Exception of priming my pirates and writing down my Port Royal list, my little warband, if you will. Talk about that, my warband, if you will, my Guardacosta company. I haven't really touched any miniatures for like a week. Wait, you mean ultramarine blue and snakebite leather aren't historically accurate hues and colors? Now you're just talking crazy, Sean. We'll go into the loony bin together. I don't give a fuck. Exactly, Bad Rabbit. So it's cool. You get 30 pieces of 8, right? 30 reals. I guess technically you want to look at it that way, but sorry. So you get 30 pieces, and you have different types of units that are available to you. Some have a limit on how many you can take. You can have more officers than crew, and then each piece of gear costs one piece of 8. And different nations have different access to certain gear. You know, some gear is rare. You can only take like 1 or 2. You can only take 3 rare items tops, like all together. You know, so the cool thing about Spanish, they get a lot of rapiers. So they're led by a mate that has a rapier and 2 pistols, or 2 rapiers and a pistol. I can't decide how I want to equip them. Either the 2 swords and a pistol, or 2 pistols and a sword. He has 3 basically just regular troops with rapiers and pistols. There's a a corsair who's pretty cool. He has a musket. He has a plug bayonet, which is a rare piece of gear, which is kind of cool. He can literally just, after he's fired, he can stick in his musket and turn it to a pole arm, a spear. And then he also has climbing gear, and the whole point, you know, think like a Mordheim board. The whole point is for him to get up high and just like provide fire support from out there. And then I have a sailor who has a blunderbuss, and as a free bonus weapon he gets a dagger. So he's kind of gonna like stay with the boat, or kind of like cover people with the blunderbuss. I have no idea if that list is competitive or good or not. Once I have it painted, I'm going to take it on down to Warfire Games and probably get my shit kicked in. I'm going to have fun doing it. Sounds like a fun list. No, okay, so I have seen one, so I haven't watched the movie School to Shine, but I have seen the battle scene of it. I've seen that before, and I rewatched it. It was really cool. You actually had like matchlock muskets, and then you had like actual pikemen. You know, a lot of people think like pikemen are just like, when people think pikes, what they really think are like half pikes or like boarding pikes or spears, but these are like legit pikemen, and you actually watch them like close with each other, and then like as the pikes kind of bent and kind of like matched together, you had guys like kind of dropping their gear and running around, literally like kind of like running and like scooting on the ground and sliding around, coming up with like knives, stabbing people in the armpits, slitting throats and stuff. It was really cool. They're like fighting underneath the bridge of the pikes, stabbing into each other. It's super cool. So I haven't seen the full movie, but I did watch that battle scene again. It was awesome. Yeah, I'll say I thought the Spanish came up with that whole square thing. There's a term for it. It's escaping my head, but I remember them figuring out the whole square concept pretty early on. Because then later when they talk about Wellington at Waterloo, like he had this great idea where he forms these squares with like guys in the middle and guys on the outside with their bayonets out. I was like, did the Spanish do that like 50 to 100 years ago? So the cool part, and what I'm hoping happens in the movie, and I want to watch it, one of my favorite tactics of history, it was right just after the matchlocks, right when wheel locks were becoming a thing. And wheel locks have kind of a, not to get too into the weeds about wheel locks versus flint locks, but wheel locks have a small advantage in a certain feature. We won't go too far into it, but the cool thing is you saw evolution of tactics. After like matchlocks, like punching through the armor, and you know enough nobility had died on horseback, like archers, and then later, you know, musketeers and all the different types of matchlock style weaponry or different type of missile weaponry. So now a lot of these horsemen decided like, hey, let's use these big ass long, basically almost like handguns, like big ass pistols. But theirs were matchlocks is too hard and too cumbersome to use on a horse. But with wheel locks, they could actually carry like one or two, or depending how rich they are, the richer they are, the more wheel lock pistols they could carry. So what they started doing is they implemented the tactics that the Mongolians used with their horse archers, like this constant, like revolving, almost circular, and just literally pelting the enemy constantly with arrows. They used that same tactics. At this time, they're wearing like metal breastplate armor and metal helmets. You know, they're having as many wheel lock pistols they can carry. And as they came in, they basically just did this wheeling formation with their cavalry while using wheel lock pistols, which is super cool. And just absolutely just kept peltering people. Because by the time they'd come back, you know, they'd have their other pistol drawn and ready, or it was pretty cool. Yeah, yep, history repeats itself multiple times. You'll see same tactics used over and over and over again. One of the cool things when wheel locks first came out, what surprised everyone, and they were really popular, especially for this reason down in Italy, was you could not conceal carry a matchlock, right? When I say concealed carry, don't think like what we do now. You know, let's not get into that whole boat of things. But it was really hard to hide a matchlock firearm on you, right? Like it was, people could see it, smell it, hear it, you know. But with a wheel lock, it gave you the ability to actually kind of hide or conceal a rather large firearm. I mean, you can't just you couldn't just walk around with it stuck in the back of your pantaloons, you know. But like if you were dressed like a monk, you know, or if you had like a huge cloak or something like that, you were able to like somewhat try and hide one, or inside of a carriage perhaps. Like it was kind of neat. So you started to see for the first time like the not since like crossbows. Well, even crossbows have big signatures, you know. So the first time we started seeing like concealed draw become a thing. All this talk of black powder, I really need to get like a black powder pistol or a musket one of these days. Pretty sure they have kits. Yeah, they're not even covered by FFL here in the States. I could literally just order one to the house and just build the kit. I don't think there's any ranges near me that would authorize black powder firearms, though. Yeah, right across the street from the Castillo de San Marcos is a pirate and treasure museum. The wife and I went to. It was actually really very small, but a really good museum. And there's a reason why they call it the treasure museum. They actually have a lot of shipwrecked treasure there, which is really cool. That was really cool to see. But they did some cool jobs, like displaying like cannons and stuff like that. So you got to like, I don't know, it was really neat to see a lot of stuff and also explain a lot of stuff and look at it. It's pretty cool. One thing that, I mean, I never officially went to any kind of jungle school. When I was in the military, the old jungle school in Panama was closed. They've kind of had one somewhat running in Hawaii. I think they've now fully rebuilt it and reinstated it to like that same level. Although, to be fair, the rainforest of, I feel like those rainforests in Hawaii are going to be a lot different than the ones in Panama, but we had, I don't want to call them jungle courses. we had tropical familiarization terrain training here in Florida, and it's miserable. I was trying to explain it to somebody. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. So if you've never done jungle training of any type, you know, it doesn't matter what level, it doesn't matter if you did like ranger, if it's one of your blocks or ranger training, or if you just happen to go to one. So the whole point of jungle training is learning how to be comfortable in just constant misery, because jungles will just beat the shit out of you. It's kind of like, best way to explain like jungle training, at least the small level I got, like the small little courses we ran, was imagine being in like an Uber, right? But the Uber is a smart car, and the sunroof's open and it's raining, and the person's blasting the AC, so you're cold, you're wet, you know, and then your driver is a drunk Mike Tyson, you know, just every now and then just swings over and just beats the shit out of you for no fucking reason. So you're trying to sleep on this long Uber ride home, you're cold, you're wet, you have to keep one eye open because you're not sure when like someone's gonna start, you're gonna hear some weird sounds coming from somewhere in the dark, and you're just gonna get smattered and beaten with a fist. And then when you finally do wake up, you know, the sun's up and he has the heater on, so now it's blaring heat and you're still cold, but now it's hot, you know, but he's driving slow enough that mosquitoes have gotten in the car and you're getting stung by insects left and right. Anyways, the whole reason why I described this is jungle training, or training for jungle operations with modern military equipment, was god awful, right? Some of the worst times ever. The only thing that to me that was worse was like winter in the mountains. That's definitely worse for me. But anyways, now take that with black powder weaponry, not just matchlocks, but even flintlocks. Like, I can't imagine the Seminole Wars. You know, the U.S. and the Seminole tribes fought like 3 times in Florida. You know, or like the battles that happened in Florida during the, you know, 7 Years' War, the American Revolution, the War of 1812, you know, Civil War. There's multiple engagements down here in Florida. I'm just like, who the fuck would fight in these swamps with black powder weaponry and like wool uniforms? Like, at least we have Gore-Tex. Like, oh my god, when I was looking at the reenactor's uniform, I was just imagining just operating in the Florida heat. Like, fuck that. Yeah, like I imagine rules for like melee combat for a lot of these. Thinking about Warlord Games' American Revolution epic scale, because, you know, especially down here in the subtropic jungle we have down here, stuff's gonna get wet. That thing is not gonna go bang when you squeeze, you know. Then you're down to bayonets and tomahawks, or gunstock clubs. Man, I gotta get a legit one of those, like an actual wooden one. I've always wanted one of those. Yes, I grew up watching, you know, Last of the Mohicans, but still, I've seen it in other places in history, and I still want one. Oh, are you kidding me? That's a classic movie. That is one of the best endings to a movie of all time. I don't think there's a single spoken word of dialogue. I mean, there's some shouting and grunting and pain, you know, but I don't think there's a single like word of dialogue in the last like 8 minutes of that movie. It is all just vengeance. Yeah, it makes sense why, you know, throwing spears or using atlatls or bows and arrows would be a little bit more advantageous down here in the swamps and the subtropic jungles. One thing I did hear about is a lot of U.S. troops, you know, later on down here during the Seminole Wars, they kept or they requested a lot and kept a lot of the apparently a lot of cutlasses were made for different conflicts, everything from the Mexican American War to the Civil War to a bunch of other kind of stuff like that. Anyway, so during the American Seminole Wars down here in Florida, apparently a lot of those cutlasses were requested and sent down to. This is hearsay. I have no proof of this, so I said I'm trying to find more valid sources on it. But apparently, a lot of the cutlasses were requested and sent down to units, and they used them for like machetes, not just for personal defense, but also, you know, going through the thicket. And the story of that allegedly is that they learned that trick from working with Jean Lafitte's pirates and smugglers during the Battle of New Orleans at the end of the War of 1812. Technically after the War of 1812, but at the end of the War of 1812. So this one doesn't have a hat. What color hair should this one have? What do you guys think? Brown, black, red. Oh my god. I want to say no, but I swear to god, I think I actually do have a box of Captain Crunch in the fridge. If I get up and check, they probably have renamed a character after Jean Lafitte. No, Jean Lafitte and his brother were famous pirates and smugglers from around the Galveston Bay, Louisiana area. Pretty interesting. The jackets are snakebite leather. Blonde may not be a bad idea, but right? I don't think so. It seems like that would keep them warm. Okay. I can take a look for you real quick, RK. Let me check. So, RK, that word you're using, I have no idea how to pronounce it. The Jaakari. Those Jaegers, I guess. Or I guess it's some Finnish version of the word Jaeger, so hunter, whatever. They do have their own Falcon squads, so it's kind of like the German jump troopers, and they get assault rifles. But it looks like a lot of their guys prefer rifles or some machine guns or light machine guns. I don't see any of their other troops carrying. Oh no, their SS Fruitawilligan shock trooper squads can carry assault rifles too. And it looks like their officers can. Yeah, it looks like their officers also get ski troops as well. Yeah, you can clean up the 2 guys and give them all assault rifles. So you can still fit some assault rifles into a Finnish Konflikt 47 list. Or were you talking about like World War II? My bad. But yeah, I was pulling that information from the second Konflikt 47 book, the one that has all the pure Japanese stuff, not Defiance, but Resurgence or whatever it is, I think. Alright, I'm back. I was just thinking about that black powder iguana hunt. I mean, you can use anything, but... I have used a bow fishing bow, and those work real well. Once you get used to it. Alright. So... it's just about 3 o'clock, so I'll get ready to start talking about the Type 89 Imperial Japanese tank. I'm gonna clear some space because there's something I want to show you guys. Here is the centerpiece for the Jungle Runes board. Yeah, look at that. Big old nice. Probably put these mummies away for another day here. That's nice and tall compared to all these models. That should work well. Perfect for your blood sacrifices, you know, just slit the throat and keep the body down the steps. Who knows in the lore, maybe there was some possible Bikini Atoll style testing. Maybe there's a possibility of a third rift opening up all the way out here in Woohoo Island. So yeah, lots of ruins and lots of rivers on the Jungle Ruin board. Yeah, you have to start. It's funny you mentioned that. That's what I was doing when I was when I only had Imperial Japanese models painted. I broke them off in like little 500-point teams so I could like teach with. But I made like multiple teams so I could pick what they kind of wanted on their army. And I named them after Legend of the Hidden Temple teams. Like you had the blue barracuda, the silver monkeys, the purple parrots, or Alright, so when we're talking about the Type 89, so we've talked about the Type 94, which was technically they call it a tank, but we know it's more of like a special armored tractor. It was used for a lot of stuff. You can tell because the turret was like really located kind of towards the rear. It could pull armored trailers, you know, either for supplies, CASVAC, or for more nefarious things like chemical spraying, or they could also do flame. Hey, what's going on, Squid Fist? We hit 3 o'clock, so we're just about to take a small break here. We're going to cover a little bit of Imperial Japanese history, talking about tanks. We're just going to recap what we talked about before. We've talked about the Type 92, which is probably one of the best tankettes. That was the cavalry tankette. Surprisingly fast. With a heavy machine gun in the turret. I'm sorry, a heavy machine gun in the bow and a mini machine gun in the turret. Pretty quick, low to the ground. The cavalry loved them. But you really only saw them in mainland China. So now, here's a really good picture of it. Now we have the Type 89. So it's technically a medium tank. It looks a little weird only because this is its main gun over here, very similar to the Type 95's main gun. You know, I think it's like a 37mm low velocity, not a big deal. And this is its rear-facing mini machine gun. Ironically, this medium tank, you can tell right here with the ensign, the rising sun, and you can tell right here with the anchor, this actually belongs to the Special Naval Landing Force. And they actually have it rotated with the machine gun facing the front. So they have their bow machine gun and their other machine gun both facing forward. Oh, nice. Best of luck to your 1,000 Suns, especially up against the Banana Boys. So one of the cool things about the Type 89 is it was the Empire of Japan's first domestic tank. What they meant by that is, like, after World War I, they watched a whole bunch of others. So they fought Russia before World War I. Man, they got some islands out of it. And then they watched World War I happen. They watched the British, you know, basically surprise everybody with these tanks. And the Empire's like, all right, we got to figure this out. And so they watched after World War I. They ordered tanks from all over the place. They ordered some French tanks. They ordered a lot of British tanks, particularly like Whippets and stuff like that. And they were testing one of the British Whippet tanks. And sadly, they had a crew in there testing the vehicle, and it caught fire. And those British tanks were running off petrol. They were running off gasoline. You know, so the tank caught fire. It killed all the crew on board. And Imperial Japan's like, we ain't doing that, gang. And so the Imperial Japanese, when they created the Type 89, actually I think they already had the prototypes for Type 89 down, because some of the first ones were gasoline and the later improvements swapped over to diesel. So with their first domestic tank, the Type 89 medium tank, they used diesel engines. Now, to many people who are involved in tanks, that sounds like, yeah, you know, who doesn't? But at the time, they were the first people to actually swap over to diesel engines. And so, because they had one of their British Whippet tanks they imported catch fire on gasoline and kill the guys. So the Type 89s, they weren't bad. As you can tell, they have that very odd style of Japanese. You saw the picture, very odd Japanese dimensions of the main gun forward. And it being a relatively weaker gun, just not for fighting other armor or buildings, but more of an infantry support. So it's basically like a mobile artillery platform that had armor that could also protect the troops as well. And it had that rear-facing machine gun that was mostly used for convoy duty, so that these tanks were meant to move with, you know, troops and trucks or supplies or stuff like that. And the way those rear-facing machine guns were is they could try and cover a full 360 or in front or behind of the vehicle, of the convoy vehicles, to protect from aircraft. Not that was a huge problem in China until, you know, Flying Tigers and some other stuff. So the problem with the Type 89 when it came out, they built a whole bunch of them, but then they realized that they were absolutely as slow as ass. The Type 89, it's commonly called the Yigo or Igo, you know, YI-GO. It was heavy too, so it was about 10 tons, whereas the Hago was like 7 or 8, so it's heavier. So they called it a medium tank, but it was absolutely slow. And that was the problem, is it was too slow to move with the infantry, you know, so it wasn't really able to perform its own task. But also, if you try and put them all by themselves, they were also so slow that, you know, the Chinese could flank around the side with, you know, light anti-tank guns and just absolutely rake hell on them. But again, they're also early tanks. Like I said, production I think started well before World War II proper, I guess. So you're looking at like early 30s, like 31. So the problem was, again, if you've ever seen, or if you're Red Ender's Game, it's a very similar synopsis where, you know, they built a lot of these tanks. They thought they're going to be the best thing. They shipped them all over the world, right? These medium tanks. And then they realized, like, once they sent them to the far corners of their spreading empire, they realized, like, okay, these tanks are kind of shit. And they're like, all right, hold on, we can make it cheaper, smaller, faster, and better. And that became the Type 95 Hago. But they still had a shit ton of these Type 89 Yigos all around. So naturally, the army doesn't want them, so they force the navy to take them. So the Snilf's like, yeah, we don't want these slow as shit tanks that goes against our entire MO. Plus, we can't really amphibiously land with these. Army says it's too fucking bad. You get what you get. And again, these have been shipped all over the world. So there was a few sticking around in some foreign colonies. And so, surprisingly, the Snilf actually used Type 89s quite a bit. Not that they liked it, it just happened to be the only armored vehicle they actually had available to them. You know, only because when these were mass produced, they thought that was the best thing, they shipped them everywhere. So the way the war in the Pacific fighting against the Imperial Japanese is, the closer you got to the homeland, out of the main islands, the better and more high-tech the tanks were. So a lot of the tank wars that you saw between the Allied forces and the Imperial Japanese on a lot of those islands, those were absolutely the worst tanks Japan had. Anything they made past, I want to say, probably 38, if not earlier, they kept on the island. So all their Chi News and stuff like that, they kept all those on the mainland islands. They're ready to fight street for street. So the only thing they really had on those outlying islands were their Hagos, their Chihas, and even then, not enough Chihas. You know, they were just kind of out there, and it was cheaper. It was not cheaper, but it was a better use of supplies to make new, better tanks and keep them on the island to bring those tanks back, or to put those other tanks out there. You know how like Germany kind of charged their Tigers out there to try and repel the French landing and to meet those Shermans in open French countryside. Yeah, the Imperial Japanese like, well, we don't have big ass giant open country tanks like that. We have smaller tanks, so we're literally gonna like hide them everywhere in every city we possibly have, in every mountaintop, build pillboxes. So that's what they're doing with their tanks. So the Type 89, it wasn't a bad tank. It just it wasn't good. And what's really cool is you can actually see some of those Renault French style early tank design markings in it, where you see that kind of that flare in the back, allowing it to cross trenches a little bit easier. But you can tell that that turret looks extremely familiar. It's almost the exact same turret they put on the Type 95 Hago. They just made the body smaller. So you can still see that very unique shape, almost like a teardrop shape, and then back here is where they put the rear mini machine gun. So they end up not being able to work with the infantry. They had to put them in their own actual tank regiments, and a lot of them got absolutely knocked out by the Chinese anti-tank guns, and also when Soviet armor kind of came down for a visit. But that's Type 89. Nothing too crazy. It's what came before the Type 95. The big, huge designing features. Almost the exact same turret. That's where the Imperial Japanese figured out they wanted, you know, light, not necessarily anti-tank guns, but just light support guns in the front for the main armament. They want a bow mini machine gun because that became extremely popular. And they wanted a rear-facing mini machine gun, and that unique turret shape carried on further into the Type 95 Hago, and it was the first main tank made worldwide that was specifically made diesel. So a lot of other countries kind of picked up on that and started replicating that as well. So it's kind of cool. Nice little piece of history. All right, let's get back to these daughters. Nice. I didn't know the Thousand Suns use lots of flamers. That's really cool. Do they have like special flamer rules? Like, are they special like siege flamers or something? Oh, I see Squick and Sean spreading more lies and lies and damn lies about me. Snuff timely my creativity. Fine by me. Yeah, I wasn't really able to make it to too many MG streams lately. Just catching pieces here and there. Hoping to see some more of his Saltcast. I like those with Salty Simon and some of the other guests. I think he had Wood Imp on the other day. Those are really nice. I like those. Who doesn't like a good collab? Better. What do you mean by going to talk about my white skin? It's because the brightness is so high. Actually, decent to 10. Bad Rabbit Squig and Sean, yeah. I can't say I know what you're talking about. Let's do something about Zen or Skibbity Toilet. I'll You have a problem with my mirrored aviators, Squid Hunter Sean? Ironically, I actually do have like 2 pairs of mirrored aviators. And 1 pair of prescription tinted aviators. What? It's a timeless sunglass design. There's nothing wrong with aviators. That's like saying there's something wrong about Wayfarers. Like Wayfarers and aviators are like the 2 classic sunglass styles. No. Much to Mr. Tiki's chagrin. No, I generally let my hair go long, then I get tired of it, then I cut it short, but not that short. But I do let my beard grow in the summer. I try and do like a salty, like pirate beard in the summertime. No, if you're looking to spot someone who knows how to do like UC stuff versus someone who's just like trying to wear like subdued street clothes, check their shoes and check their belt. Usually the type of shoes someone's wearing, the type of belt they have, will give a lot of stuff away. Yeah, you gotta have a beard, Squig and Sean, otherwise how can you get the good prices over at, I was gonna say a place, but I'm kind of reluctant to say that. I don't want to add to your whole myth. I was gonna say how else can you get the preferred customer discount with the Kyber Pass, but I feel like I'm just adding to your lore. I'll have to trim my beard back down to human levels after the summer, sadly. I'm only allowed to grow a gnarly sea beard for the summer. Not sure what you mean by discount bad. I mean, you don't pay cash for taxes. That's what packs of Marlboro Red are for. This is what they used to be for. I don't know. I don't even know if anyone overseas smokes anymore. Who knows? Has anyone used Daughters of the Motherland on the tabletop yet? I haven't. I'm not quite sure how good these models are. I feel like their stats are kind of all over the place. So it's like but it's a good sized unit too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 10. 10 assault rifles. Feel like that's gonna do some damage. And they have armor. The Daughters of the Motherland. So talking about Bad Rabbit. All right, we're slowly making our way through them. So once I get the trench coat done, everybody, then I can go in and do the pants, then probably the body armor, and we'll see where we're at. Nice, yeah, that's what I was thinking better. I thought they'd be pretty good at like taking and holding an objective. They'd be hard to shift off because they could throw out a lot of fire, and with those two Panzer Shreks, or two Panzerfaust, they can possibly scare away some light armor. I'm excited to hear how your Thousand Suns do, Squid Fist. I'm rooting for you, buddy. Hopefully you hit him with some good old-fashioned, age-old, dust-powered trickery. Yeah, because if I can get these painted and ready, then I can definitely probably do a 500-point game, adding in the werebears and these ones. Yeah, that's a good point. Assault, yeah, because they are assault rifles. Yeah, they can move and shoot with no penalty. Yeah, I'll look into those. I'll look into building some of those. Like I said, I don't plan on ever really running Soviets. Like I said, I'm getting them and painting them just so I can have them for people to use if need be, you know? But, I'll take a look at them. Hey, what's going on, Nathan? Yeah, I've been MIA for like a week or two. Nathan, sorry if I've missed any of your streams, man. I've been trying to catch them when I can. Nathan, are you gonna try even if it's just for the content for your channel? Are you gonna try Dark Tide with the new Arbides Respect the Lex DLC? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Bad Rabbit. Because I said I think the Patriots God doesn't necessarily need the Sonic Cannon, but I think in the later books they can actually take a Sonic Cannon with them. Yeah, they're almost like good commissars, you know, actually they're for morale. Oh, well, look at me not being relevant, Nathan. No, you got to, man. You gotta follow that algorithm, take care of the channel. That's right, Francis, because they won't let you. remember, remember, you can only vote for communism once. You can only vote for the Soviets once. Thanks, Nathan. No, I've been well. I've been busy. There's wild speculation about what I've been busy with, but I've been busy, super busy. I'm talking where if I get longer than like an hour or 2 hours off, like in between work and something else, I generally fall asleep. Like I tried playing some Helldivers and I fell asleep playing. But everyone in the chat seems to be doing well. Everyone's working on some of their own models. Some people are getting ready for a 40k game tomorrow. Some people are working on some of their bolt action models. Well, it's not a space K, but here's a cultish rifleman with a Panzerfaust. Very Squid Fist. Part of my cult of Imhotep. Thanks, Squidfist. Yeah, I have a full 500 point army of Cult of Imhotep. It's got Cultist. It's got, you can see them over here, the Mummies. So it's got a huge, big old Pantherax. I think it's a damn menace. But no, I am hoping unless I have my Port Royal forces painted, which I don't think I will in time. I'm hoping. Sorry about that, to get a game of Konflikt 47 in here, hopefully within the next week or two. Probably over at Warfire Games, not somewhere closer. Ooh, let me take a look at Sean's Beastman. Oh, they look so awesome. Why didn't Games Workshop stick with them? That's such a cool thing. Beastman with like gas mask and high-tech weapon. That's so cool. It puts like the it's like 40k Krampus. I love it. Holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah, hopefully that was a good deal for you, man. That's awesome. I would say I got one good deal at my local store. I say local. Warfire's not local, but I got a good deal at Warfire. I got a fully painted Tiger X with a rail cannon for like 20 bucks. I was like, oh, deal. Well, I wish you all the best, Nathan. If you start your OnlyFans showing your feet, let me know. I'll plug it in the stream for you. Anything to help out a friend, you know. Tack these toes. Yeah, they're saying no unit's going to be made obsolete or anything with the new edition coming out for Konflikt 47, but I worry if units are going to like change the way they look or some other stuff. So I'm trying to grab, but I don't want to be that guy and like snatch up all the Konflikt 47 stuff, you know. But I'm trying to get some models here and there, you know. Yes, for those who haven't seen it, I got my my AK texture die. Oop. Good thing it's metal, right? I got my AK diorama sand paint. So now it actually kind of looks like it's on the beach. I'll be excited to finish those guys up. It's a hell of a deal. 80 bucks for that, especially built and painted, hell of a deal. That is one good thing about hobbying is a lot of times people will trade, you know, one set for another set. Like I had 1,000 points, you know, kit bashed of sailors for Old World Warhammer. You know, they were like Free Company and handgunners and stuff like that. I traded them for some orcs, so I think it's good value. I said I don't have the time or the ability to play Old World, so trade them for some orcs. Alright, about to finish up the last brown coat, or the leather coat on the daughters. We start to work on their pants, which are going to be green, or body armor, which is going to be red. This is what they look like when they're all done. So they still look like badasses on the field, you know, but just slightly subdued. Like from the rear, they just look like almost any other kind of gorilla. Try to Squig and Ashana. I share stories and my terribly annoying voice for fake friendship. I get it. Alright, so now we got that color done. Let's get started on my pants. Yep, as soon as I do that, I see a spot I missed. Actually, every time. It's alright. Ooh, I'm sorry, I think I totally spaced on something too. Alright, if you're still here, I forgot you did send me that thing. So a jigsaw tank. Fast, wrecky, vulnerable, gyro stabilized. Turret heavy mounted AT gun, coaxial medium machine gun, front firing light autocannon, pencil heavy machine gun. Jesus. For 250 points though, but as a veteran, I'll take a look at it. It seems about right as far as the points cost, but I'll take a look at it. I do like the Hornet, but if I had to choose between the Hornet or Grizzly, I think the Grizzly is one of the best, like, take all comes, jack of all trades, medium walkers. Bad Rabbit, that was a custom model that Arcade's working on. It's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, especially if you're going up against a lot of Totem Core or zombies. Yeah, I can see where you lean more towards the Kodiak. Yeah, Arcade, you're still in the chat, man. Let me know what the armor value of that thing is. Alright, unfortunately, I do have to be up early in the morning, so I may actually call it here about an hour early. But we did get some good painting did. We got all the coats done on all the daughters. We got some green pants down on most of them. Sorry I'm calling it about an hour early. Unfortunately, I do have some early morning operations. But tomorrow should be the normal time. It should be 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Yes, go ahead and try and take your HOA loose. Never mind if you got a rooster. Absolutely. I haven't seen a Guardian's flamethrower work yet. I think he brought a Guardian, but I think I killed it before I got close enough to use the flamethrower wrist on it yet. So I haven't seen those in close combat yet. I'm kind of excited to see how they operate. But hey, thanks again for joining me, guys. I know I'm kind of, I miss here and there, a week here and there. I try to give you guys heads up on what happens Right now, there's some current events that are keeping me busy, so I have to adjust kind of fire as I go. As always, thank all you guys for watching the whole time and for chatting along. I super appreciate it. And actually, before I leave, let me grab the invite to the Discord. That link right there will take you to the Konflikt 47 Worldwide Discord. It's not official, it's unofficial. Ran by a real nice guy, and he's got some cool moderators. Some of the moderators are, you hang out here in the chat sometimes for the streams. Any questions you have about Konflikt 47, these guys can answer. Something really cool, there's actually a celebrity on the Discord. If you go into Etsy every now and then, if you see a lot of the Konflikt 47 custom-made like 3D models, he's actually in that Discord, so that's super cool. So I kind of geeked out when I saw that. I was like, oh shit, I know your stuff. I've ordered your stuff before. It was pretty cool. But for those of you guys who are headed off to sleep, I hope you get the sleep you deserve. I hope it's actually a good sleep, unfitful. I hope you wake up ready to go and magically there's already a cup of coffee ready, you know? For these guys headed to work, I hope it's an easy day at work. I hope there's absolutely no leadership, no micromanagement. You're able to sail right in. Maybe someone's even brought donuts. Could be one of those good kind of days. And as always, I hope you guys stay safe, stay hydrated, and don't forget to relax today, because you're on Tiki time.
Smiles, no war drums, just beach for miles. Ghost park by Tiki lights, shadows dance in tropic nights. Sand beneath where boots once stood, paradise ain't so misunderstood. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons. Forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Bunkers built from palm and hope, coconuts and crude soap. Imperial dreams, fade and sun, warriors turn beach bums. Shrine to ocean gods we raise, praying for forgotten days. Sake in the campfire glow, life's a surfboard ebb and flow. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons. Forgot the fight in